At its meeting on Tuesday, January 25th, the Needham School Committee approved the superintendent's budget proposal of $87 million, a 4.3% increase over the current budget year. The proposal reflects resources and staffing needed to provide enhanced special education and mental health services, plus math and literacy education. It also supports fine and performing arts programs and world language classes. Municipal producer Yushao Yuan takes a look at some highlights in the budget.
The proposal recommends adding about 25 full-time equivalent employees to maintain a steady student-to-teacher ratio and to provide support for special education students and those requiring math and literacy assistance. Superintendent Dr. Dan Gudekan said most of them were existing positions that were funded through federal grants and should remain to continue the level of services that have been benefiting students. The district's guidance department is experiencing challenges of addressing the mental health crisis among students due to the trauma and anxiety caused by the pandemic. Director of Guidance Tom Denton said the less availability of resources outside of school puts weight on school counselors. They have to support students who would otherwise be in day treatment programs or psychiatric hospitals. The department requested staffing support in the budget, including a transition counselor in Pollard.
Students, if they are at hospital level of care and they are hospitalized or they go to a day treatment program, we have supports for when they come back. We're actually using it more for the students who are at hospital level of care but are not being seen. So we're actually supporting students during the day who in the past would be in day treatment programs or psychiatric hospitals.
The original proposal deferred the department's request of a personal counselor in the high school, currently a temporary position created back in October. But the school committee recommended continuing the position after listening to Director Denton's concern over the foreseen high demand in the years to come.
Over the past 2 months, they've done 11 safety assessments, with their student population. A safety assessment is when you've determined that a student is possibly at risk of hurting themselves. And our personal counselors, many of our counselors are trained in doing that. And so that becomes more and more a part of what they're doing on a regular basis. But my fear is that we need to plan for what we're dealing with now, because I don't see indications that next year is going to be a year where the mental health needs have been substantially reduced.
The Student Learning Department requested funds for literacy and math intervention. Specific budget requests include expanding the Early Bird Screener program from kindergarten to first grade, adding coaches at some schools to bring the student-to-teacher ratios in line with the other schools, and funding the Summer Bridge program. The Summer Bridge program was primarily funded through federal and state grants, which are not anticipated to continue this year.
One struggle we had was since we used grant funding last year, the tentative nature, we weren't sure how much money we were going to end up with, so we weren't able to invite families very early in the year, and a lot of families had already made plans and paid for camps, etc. So it will be very helpful to have some local funds that we can guarantee and we can get started quickly, early on in that program.
A number of the requests in the budget reflected the district's focus on equity and inclusion. The Fine and Performing Arts Department asked for funding to remove the $100 fee for students to be able to participate in the elementary instrumental program.
This request is really important to me in terms of equity and access. I think it's a small step really that the district can take to make this program a little more equitable and accessible for students in the community.
The World Languages program sought funding to provide all 11th grade students the opportunity to qualify for the Massachusetts State Seal of Biliteracy by taking the Standardized Measurement of Proficiency Test, or the STEM test.
Currently, we have inequitable access. The students who are participating, it's all volunteer-based. They're paying for it. And we haven't been able to offer it during the instructional day because of the amount of time we need. And when we have tried, it is to either pick taking the test, like an in-school field trip, or going to whatever class it might be that the students have, and so they have to pick. Our interest is to be able to run it within the World Languages program during the instructional day over a multi-session process, and the students, it's untimed. They can take all the time they need to proceed through the different stages.
The high school athletics department requested funding to shift girls rugby from a club sport to the interscholastic sport and to create a girls golf team so equal opportunities are provided for both boys and girls. Town meeting will vote on the budget in May. You can go to the district's website to learn more about the proposal. For the Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.